What if I were to suggest that you play a key role in the awakening world? And that you are watching this because you have heard the call. We can start right now by opening our hearts and minds. Welcome to the awakening world.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Awakening World, our Wednesday night edition, and a really special edition. Tonight, we are celebrating and really coming to understand all about Juneteenth, a very important holy day that not so many people understand and know about. And we have an amazing group of people with us. It's Wednesday night, so that means our co-host, the wonderful Trish Wright, is with us. Always my co-pilot, Mr. Omar Shah, is with us. And one of our favorite guests, Antoinette Hall, is our co-host tonight. And so we're going to be hearing from Antoinette. She's there underneath that banner. Piper Dellums is back. And we love Piper. And God bless Piper. She invited her friend, her uncle Lou Gossett Jr. You all know him. This man has won an Academy Award and an Emmy Award and a Golden Globe, but most important, he's a beautiful social activist. And I've so enjoyed what he's had to share tonight. But there's more. Dr. Mama Ivy is with us tonight, and Pato Banton is with us tonight. So it's going to be a really wonderful, wonderful evening. We're going to take questions, and I want to welcome all of you who are watching on the different Facebook groups and pages. You know, we've got over 150 groups and pages watching us because of John and Summer Raymer. And I was with Summer earlier today. Thank you, John and Summer, for getting us out there. Also, thank you to our newest broadcast partner, the Conscious Awakening Network, Humanities Team, Alan Steinfeld and his YouTube channels. All of you, welcome to the Awakening World. I'm going to go right to our very, very special guest, Mr. Gossett. He is, among other things, the chairperson of the Atlanta board, I guess you would say, for Juneteenth. He's put together an incredible group of people. And Mr. Gossett, could you please share with us what is Juneteenth and what does it mean to you?
Well, how much time do you have, my brother?
For you, as much time as you like.
Okay, I was raised by my great-grandmother down here in Georgia, so God has seen fit to bring me back to the origin of my childhood and the system in the farms. And the Georgia red clay was the most fertile land, which is where our specialty was the raising of red and yellow bean watermelon. Me and my cousins were sent down there between the schools so our parents could have a break. We ran the farms, and my matriarch was a woman. I'll show you a photograph maybe later on in the show, picture of me and her, and our opening night in 1953 of me and her. I was 17 and she was 110.
Wow.
So that's where our education started. Now, whenever she said the things like she had the snuff and she had the magic finger, when that finger was raised, all hell would break loose. And I have to go and get the switches. And if it wasn't strong enough, I had to plat it. And I wanted to know why she knew about syllables, because she go, how many times? And she only had to do that once for me to remember. That lesson starts from the beginning of mankind, when they know that God is in charge, not dad, not grandpa, not the earth, not the moon or the sun, but God. It became very important in our lives at the age of at least 1, 2, or 3, when we had to pray and know what we're praying about, washing up, feeding the tribe of people, and taking care of one another for the rest of our lives, for the benefit of us all. Those are God's orders. From there, we've gone on our own successful way, thinking that God is not as important. Now, here we are. I could go on for hours, but I'm going to summarize it this way. Our planet is dying. We've lost the sensitivity to our children. Our girls are menstruating, etc. The food that we get out of the ocean is almost gone. The green stuff coming out of the earth, we have not replicated it. We've lost sensitivity to the mankind, especially to God. So now we all may as well be on the 747 airplane. And inside the plane, we're fighting over who's going first class. And the plane is going to crash. God is in charge 24/7. It's not just on Sunday. We've come full circle now. Juneteenth, the meaning of Juneteenth, where it was an official, where the late slaves were freed, not just on paper. It's a national holiday now here, where slavery was damn near invented. Look at roots. It has flipped itself. So now Juneteenth is a national holiday, and we have a program here. Once a year on that holiday, that 8 days of Juneteenth, should be an international arts spiritual film festival to explain to the people watching what is the meaning of Juneteenth. When we go away from there, we will all know what that means to us personally and together. We will leave this celebration together as one people for the rest of our lives. When we do that, the problems that we're thinking about the world today will disappear. Easier said than done, but we see the target. That's why I'm here with you guys. There's no such thing as impossible. God makes it very possible. We have to drop our agenda and give to Him. The worst resentment we can have is the one we feel justified to keep. It gives us the high blood pressure and the pneumonia. We need to get rid of it, clean our act, and be a receptive student of what we're supposed to be doing and what's expected of us on a daily basis for the benefit of us all. I can go further, but that's enough right now.
Thank you so much, sir. It's really just an incredible honor to have you with us, and we look forward to hearing more of what you have to say. I'm going to turn it over to, we always play music on this show. We will hear from someone such as yourself, and then we'd like to hear music to digest the wisdom and to drop into a sacred space. And so we brought on one of our absolute favorite musical artists. She creates sound baths. She is a sacred sound healer, one of our favorite people on the show. Dr. Mama Ivy Shadia is back with us.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here. This is always a blessed moment because we know we're with like minds, and this is our way of pouring out healing vibrations out into the universe throughout the ethers. So I'm grateful to be a part of this.
Thank you, Dr. Mama Ivy. And tell us a little bit about what you're going to be playing and how we can drop into your sound bath.
All right. Well, tonight we're going to actually go right into a very powerful high frequency meditation in the key of E, C, F, with the vibration of 432, which is an earth vibration, which connects our heart and our mind to universal pulse. And it's going to be a series of various vibrational instruments. And so as I am playing them, it is just going to be purely vibrational. I'm going to encourage you to gently close your eyes. And then I will give you a sonic mind streaming meditation along with the vibration. And just sink into it and allow it to melt you away into deep peace. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. Allow your body to let go. Letting go, letting go, letting go. Going deeper and deeper into relaxation. Deeper and deeper into serenity. Gently close your eyes. Bring your awareness to the center of your forehead, right in between your eyebrows, and begin to allow an image to appear of the world completely whole, healed, and laced with light. Allow that light to penetrate your entire being and allow it to flow out into the universe. Follow the sounds. Namaste.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'm going to go to our co-host. We have two co-hosts tonight, of course, Trish and also Antoinette. And Antoinette, first of all, welcome back. I think this is our third Juneteenth show we've done together. And I would love to hear from you what this holy day means to you, and also maybe what came through for you during Mama Ivy's beautiful sound healing.
Thank you so much. Thank you for connecting us back with our ancestors. That's kind of like what I was feeling because, a lot about what people have been talking about this week and recently as we're commemorating and we're celebrating Juneteenth is connecting back with our ancestors and looking back with our families from previous before and how it's kind of like coming at to us right now. It's like it's kind of very emotional in that way as well too. But it's nice to know that it's like we can learn about our roots and we can get back to our roots and our culture and learning that this is now becoming a little bit more mainstream instead of something that is so separated as it's been before. So I'm really excited, that today we can actually sit there and talk about that. This is our third time talking about Juneteenth, even though it's kind of been going on for decades, but actually out here, it's kind of new because we haven't had a lot of Juneteenth celebrations in this areas of Southern California. So, starting with the one that we're hosting here in Menifee, and we also actually had a very large one in June in Lake Elsinore when we first had one a couple of years ago, when it was finally made a national holiday. But as you can see, it's still kind of new to a lot of people in a lot of different areas, even though it's like it's been celebrated for decades in a lot of through the South and on the East Coast. But coming out West, it's like we're starting to find out it's like Northern California, maybe Utah, maybe Oregon, and all these other different areas. It's like, how are the Juneteenth celebrations happening and what's going on in those other areas? So that's something I'd like to know and like to find out, other than the one that we're actually hosting here on this side of the five. So we're very excited to be hosting Juneteenth in Menifee this Saturday from 11 to 6 p.m. And it's kind of like a regional event because I believe a lot of people down from Los Angeles down to San Diego will be coming out and supporting this event, along with a lot of local artists, a lot of local food vendors, a lot of local and national artists as well too. And some of the local people, I guess I find out what they're going to be doing is going to be pretty exciting. So thank you for having us. We're very excited.
Absolutely. And we'll look forward to seeing, you've got some wonderful videos. We want to hear from Pato. And of course, we're going to hear back from all of our guests. But I want to give a few minutes to Piper Dellums. Welcome back, Piper. It's good to have you back.
It's wonderful to be back. Thank you, Dr. Ivy, for the high frequency, for the reminder. My recognition of Juneteenth was very much present in this vibrational high frequency of, yes, calling in the ancestry of all of humanity. Because what we're dealing with when we talk about the foundation of Juneteenth is we're talking about 1865, a time where New Jersey was the last northern state to free the slaves. But in Texas, in Galveston City, they didn't tell the slaves that they were set free. And there were over 250,000 people that were left in slavery without the knowledge that they had been set free, until a decree was presented in order to free this 250,000 people. What this brings to me in my spirit and soul is that there has been an incarceration, a deception, a lie to maintain oppressive shackles and strongholds on cultural people all around the world. There has been, here in the United States, over the course of from the beginning, when the first seed, when the first bloodshed of the annihilation of the indigenous people. We are dealing with there being a stealing of freedom from humanity and culture all over the world. And yet there is this awakening and this alignment and this ascension and evolution of the soul and spirit consistently in our people and other nations of people who have been incarcerated with this deception in the same way. And that is that you cannot incarcerate the soul or the spirit. The beautiful thing about the recognition of this holiday for me is that despite what has been legalized or not legalized, despite the political and the fight and all that we do in order to change this negative noose around the necks of people of color, of women, and of the environment itself, is that you can't litigate love. You can't negotiate freedom. You can't author into law the profound connection to love, to God, to spirit, and to self, despite the incarceration of the body, despite the incarceration or the attempt of the incarceration of the mind or spirit. One thing that we have seen is that our people and people of color all over the world and women and the environment will continue to rise as the sun despite, because we live in a society where we are taught, we were always taught this false idea of survival of the fittest. And we believed that that was a foundational truth and that was a deception. But once you tell a unified body of people that there is not enough to go around, which is always not true, is if there's enough love to go around, there's enough of everything to go around. But we became a society based on this great lie. So instead of coming into collaboration, doing a collaborative dance as a unified collective consciousness of creation, of oneness, of one family, this became an us and them and a fight for power, a fight for freedom, a fight for food, a fight for. But now we're in this dispensation where the most important thing that we could do in remembering this holiday is remembering that the most important foundation for unifying us is the freedom of our souls and spirits and the recognition that we are one body, one family, one humanity. And in that, our freedom is already eminent, but we have to have that knowledge, that knowing, and we have to move forward in that way. So I believe that Juneteenth is a consistent reminder to all the body of humanity, all creation, that freedom is the most important step towards peace, towards unity, towards love, and towards evolution, and a necessity.
I'm going to bring on your Uncle Lou. And again, everybody, I just want people to know.
You make me smile, lady.
I love you.
I love you. Go ahead. I'm sorry, sir.
No, that's all right. Mr. Gossett is the inspiration and the spirit behind the Juneteenth Atlanta Parade and Music Festival, which he founded in June of 2012. And he's been dedicated to really celebrating this holiday for a long time. And there's a question, Mr. Gossett, that's come in for you, which is, what have you observed as an elder? What have you observed, and are you optimistic or more pessimistic about how our world is or is not coming together?
Well, my job as an elder, as a result of the experience of life, the disappointments, the hurts, the pains, the joys, the one lesson I learned is there is no such thing as impossible. As kids have to know that. The ultimate answer in that there's no such thing as once we get that target of what we want the world to be like, and we think about that on a daily basis, it becomes true sooner rather than later. So now that mentality that all we all talk about and dream about becomes reality because we apply those desires on a daily basis. For example, we have a city going from Florida to California about immigrants, and if people are having problems with sanitation and health, Imagine if people had the love of God and understanding that we all belong in this planet together, and plant that in the seed of a young, free-minded young scientist, how quickly that would be a desired place for people to go and visit and help. It's a mindset, a changing of mindset. But in order for us to get that reception of that God's orders, there's certain things we have to do on a daily basis. We've got to get out of the driver's seat, drop on our knees and do the best prayer and meditation so we are subject to the message. The message have come to us by way of, in some certain places, hurricanes, earthquakes, fires, inclement weather. Be still and know that God is trying to get us a message that we are one people, desperate for one another's improvement for the benefit of us all. It seems impossible, but quite necessary when we know that we're not in charge, but God is. Whatever that means to you, let's do that together on a daily basis.
Thank you so much. It's beautiful. Dr.
Everything
Mama,
gets out of the way.
absolutely. Dr. Mama Ivy, you of course took us into a sound experience, but I want to give you a chance to share what Juneteenth and what it means to you and what perhaps inspiration you might want to share with our audience.
Well, thank you, Scott. I was just sitting here completely mesmerized by my sister Piper and her Uncle Lou and my Uncle Lou. He's my Uncle Lou, too. And I was just thinking about how now in our society we are so inundated with what they call fake news. And the first time that I heard that, or alternative truth, it started off with that. And then it got a lot of traction. And I'm thinking about this is not new. This alternative truth and fake news has been going on since the 1800s and even way beyond then for us. So this is trauma when I think about what that means. It's trauma. And when here in DC, the June 19th event that our organization, African American Music Association and the Youth and Families in Crisis, has partnered with the Mayor's Office, the Attorney General's Office. We have several, Art of Living, and we're all came together to partner to do a citywide healing circle on Juneteenth. There are a lot of activities going on, and I noticed there weren't any healing services going on as a result of it. And so ours is really focused on a huge restorative justice healing circle, and we're using music as the method. So we're bringing everyone together so that we can talk about this grief, talk about this loss, discuss self-care, find ways of resolving the violence, and so that people can get an understanding of the core and the root causes of violence in our community, and start a dialogue so that we can begin to speak with one another, learn one another, get to know one another. We've gotten away from our traditional values.
Amen.
And so we decided we would do a huge healing circle of over 200 people. And they said, how can you do that? You can't hear from everybody. But the Spirit of God dropped into my brain concentric circles. So we'll have a center circle and then about 10 or 15 concentric circles outside of that so that people can come. We will have this very serious Juneteenth circle conversation with the 12 people in the center. And then we will bring the other 200 into the conversation with handheld microphones. And we have mental health facilitators there who can address some of the, I think we need maybe a little bit more now that I'm talking about it. Another partnership with someone because we don't realize that we've been traumatized. I was in a circle today with young adults at a university, and we were talking about this, and they really had no clue of what we were talking about. And these are professionals about to enter into the world
Mm.
to do their work, and they might have heard something about it. So we have a lot of work to do. And so when I think about freedom and the missed information or the lack of information, it is still going on.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you for pointing that out. And I'm going to bring up Pato. And most of you know him as his amazing musical artist. But I want to say Pato has become, I think, one of my favorite ministers. And his ministry is through music, but also his absolute love of God and love of humanity. So welcome back to the show, Pato. And I'd love for you to share your thoughts about Juneteenth. And then I know you have a video to show.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, everyone on the show, on this program. I appreciate all the wisdom and all the sharing that has been taking place so far. It's very, very beautiful to see and feel. For me at the moment, as you know, me and my wife is Antoinette, who's the co-host here, and we have been on a world tour since last August. We went to 12 African countries, and we've been all over America, Hawaii, Florida. We're about to head off to Burundi to launch the most high-tech hospital that is about to be launched in Burundi. The president of Burundi is going to be there. So we've been invited to perform to open the hospital because we were there filming a documentary at the end of last year, and they invited us back, but this time to perform. And then we're leaving from Burundi and going to Kenya for 2 weeks to do a tour of Kenya to 7 different cities of Kenya, and to do community outreach in 3 or 4 cities as well, which Antoinette is primarily responsible for the community outreach across Kenya, which is very, very exciting. And we're also going to visit the biggest slum in Kenya and do a free concert for them. That's what we're planning to do at the moment. And the feedback has been scary. It's so many excited people. We just
I'm keeping my location services on. So if you guys don't hear from me or not posting one day, y'all know go look for me. You know where I am.
But so, and then we go to Europe. But addressing the question that you asked earlier about the optimism or pessimism of how the future is looking, I want to say that the future is looking very bright. We know the history, we know the dark episode that we've been through, and that, in the future, future generations will look at what we're going through right now as another dark episode. It's just more subtle, but in my travels, I experience racism almost every day. I'm so used to it now. Sometimes I have to, remind myself that this is not acceptable.
Smile at it.
Yeah, but
Smile at it.
but the thing is that, now is the time for education. They're trying to hinder these new generations learning from the past. But there needs to be education about where we're coming from, so we can understand why we are where we are and how we can move towards a better future. Because a lot of people will look at some of the Black communities right now that are going through their own challenges, and without a knowledge of the past, they will never really have any empathy or sympathy or understanding of why we as a race are going through some of the things that we are still experiencing. And I did a scan. Antoinette got me involved with this new high-tech medical scan that you can just say your voice into a computer, and it can tell you everything that's going on with your body and and even your emotions. And one of the things it pointed out about me was that I did not feel accepted. I had an issue with feeling accepted. And as a Black child born in England, first generation Black child born in England, my experience in England was being born into a hostile environment where I was being told to go back home, where I had no idea that I had another home because I was born in England, and I would be chased and you know, attempted many times to be beaten and, you know, crucified just because of the color of my skin. And I never really understood what the American experience was until I moved over here and started living here in 2006. And then I understood it because my family came from Jamaica. So the parents, the grandparents, the great-grandparents tried to protect us from the trauma that they experienced in the Caribbean, where they were treated very harshly. And that's where the unbreakables were usually sent. The ones that would not, you know, get into the flow of being a slave were normally sent to Jamaica and some of those islands to be broken. And so our parents, you know, our grandparents passed down to each generation the tendency to harshly beat the children in a very harsh way, but they never educated us about Africa or about Jamaica or about America. It wasn't until reggae music came along and Bob Marley and Culture and Burning Spear and all these bands started to educate us about our African ancestry. At that time, we had only experienced Tarzan, you know, as one white man ruling the jungle, surrounded by stupid Black people. Then when we started to understand our history and our legacy, it then led me to want to search about my spiritual roots. You know, I started to understand where I came from biologically, but I wanted to know where I came from spiritually. And now living in America, I realize now the impact that, because I was protected again because I was born in England. So my parents moved away from the arena of slavery. But for Black Americans, you guys are still in the arena of slavery. And so the trauma is still there. The experience is still there. The evidence is still here, very clear to see, even though a lot of people don't want to see it anymore. So for me, as a, you know, I call myself an English Jamaican African American. For me now, with all of these different experiences, I feel like, and being with Antoinette, who is so hardcore about, you know, educating people about Blackness and standing up for Black equality and rights and everything associated with that, I've fallen into a position now where my role is not anger at the past, but a recognition that humanity is still, even in 2023, humanity is still in its stage of infancy. Absolutely. And what we need right now is humanity to become mature. And for maturity to evolve within humanity, and I mean within every race, we all have to see that we are connected, that there are ugly lessons that we can learn from the past. And in learning those lessons and sharing those lessons openly and honestly, everyone can take responsibility for making the future a better place for each other. We have inherited America, but we also contributed to America. So now is the time for Black people to embrace the work, the free labor that they did and benefit from it. And now is the time for the oppressors, and I'm not talking about all white people, I'm talking about the people who still consider us to be less, the people who are still racist, the people who are still not reached to a point yet where they can embrace us as one human family. It's time for us to stand up to our oppressors, educate our oppressors, and at the same time, let the next generation know that change is coming slowly but surely, and we will reach the finish line as a human family. And the other thing I just want to say quickly is, I'm so excited when I go back to England, because when I was born in England, there was 3 races. There was the black race, the white race, and the Indian race. I just went back to England and there's hardly any black people or white people or Indian people. Everybody is brown. And I keep hearing people talk about the browning of America. And I've come to the understanding that if there's more than one race, there will be racism. So let's brown America as quickly as possible. Everybody looks the same and they're confused about who is who, and we can just love each other for who we are on the inside and just recognize each other as the same on the outside.
Oh, this is great.
Yeah. I did want to say something too. When he said about going back to Africa and everything else, it's like, and it's also part of like this whole Juneteenth, like why is this so important? And Pato will sit there and tell you, it's like, why is my name Antoinette the Roots daughter? Why did I take the name Roots daughter? When I was watching like some of the stuff, it's like there's hardly anything on YouTube about Juneteenth. And it's like we should have billions of videos. There's more videos about Pato than there is about Juneteenth. You know, everybody should have made different things about that. But in one of the videos that I was watching that they said, and I thought this was so important, they talked about the family reunion. Juneteenth is like the family reunion for a lot of other people because they didn't have a family reunion. But for us who have had family reunions since the end of slavery, it's like that was our whole thing about getting back to our roots. You know, any of us who like grew up watching Roots or been to a family reunion knows that this struggle to sit there and find our identity and like why I don't use the last name. How many times I keep sitting there saying that last name is not my last name. That is my slave last name. And even still, that wasn't even my last name of my slave owner, because at the end of slavery, we changed so many names so many times. Who even knows what that name actually was? You know, and that's the reason why I took the name Roots, because I was like, I need to get back to my roots. And then when we did go back to Africa, and this is like another thing that I see is like the African diaspora. There's so many Black Americans that don't go to Africa, but will go to other places. If they see what's happening in Africa, like how the promise of how we can work back together, Pan-Africanism, you know, these are the things that we're learning about through Juneteenth, because we cannot talk about these things in school. We came back from Florida. It was like they're trying to erase and wipe out history everywhere else, but they can't stop us from talking about it on stage. We need these festivals and we need these events all across America, because our history that we need to recognize that we all are together as one, but we will never ever find these things out if we're not allowed to talk about it, if we're not allowed to sing about it, if we're not allowed to rap about it, if we're not about to sit there and have a poem about it, if we're not allowed to heal about it, how are we ever going to know and come about it and move into this new earth? This new earth is not moving without the rest of us. So the rest of us need to be a part of this, but nobody's ever going to learn until we start sharing and being a part of this adventure, which is actually really exciting when we actually allow other people to be a part of it. You know? Yes, I see you, Pato.
And the subject of sharing.
Yes.
I'd like to share the video if Scott's okay with it.
Yes, I do.
Yes,
So I want to
please do.
tell Ivy, because the thing that she was doing, I think is so important about the wellness and the health, because that's something that we're going to be doing as well too, is like, we've got to start addressing the wellness and the health aspects within our communities, because
Yes.
it is not on an equal disparity level, you know, so
I'm really
thank you
glad-
so much for doing that, because that is so important.
I want to jump in when you're talking here about the health and wellness of all people of color.
Mhm.
We
It's
have been,
becoming a business instead of a healing practice.
yeah, we
Right,
have-
yes, thank you.
Yes.
Yes,
Oh my God.
yes.
And in the
Yes.
United States, there's been a whiteness of wellness, and excuse me for saying that.
Mhm.
You know, it's we are forced financially out of yoga and even traveling to do plant medicine, even going
Mhm.
back to our own
Our
cultural heritage
indigenous
for our
medicine.
indigenous medicines and indigenous healings. We are forced out financially. It's almost an impossibility. And even
Mhm.
when you go to see those that are leading these groups and organizations, none of them look like the cultural people
Mhm.
who planted this medicine and was given this medicine in the earth. You know, there are millions and billions of dollars being made all over Costa Rica, all over Colombia, all over Peru, all over Ecuador, and all over the United States, being led by white Americans, making tons of money, serving indigenous plant medicine
Mhm.
to people. And the backdrop of those organizations are the indigenous people who are
Yep.
working
Well,
kitchens
in the
and
background, God is taking over.
in the background. So, I mean, I just did that at Rhythmia and all of these other places where I'm like, wow, I just paid $12,000 to see the indigenous people who 5,000 years ago, this medicine was passed down to their ancestors, working the kitchens and the front desks. But those that held all of the places of power at all of these resort places were white Americans. So I met a young man there at Rhythmia who was a Vietnamese child of a Vietnamese refugee. And we made a decision. We need to bring cultural practices of healing and wellness in every single form in its original origin from every culture around the world who lost their identity of healing, apothecary, dance, music, all aspects of it through
Amen.
colonization. And we're putting all of that in hotels all over the world. We actually now have in ownership, and my business partner is on there, Lori Davis, my best friend, with David Pham. We now own the Seton Castle that was once Mary Queen of Scots Castle. That will be a healing hotel that is all indigenous cultural healing. It will be covered in teepees and African huts and grandfather fires and all aspects of healing that were stolen from every different culture around the globe.
Piper, we gotta talk, girl.
Entire
Let's go.
board, our entire board is a rainbow coalition of indigenous culture. So we will take responsibility back for our peyote, for our ayahuasca, for our, all of this was given from God into the hands of indigenous people and stolen. We will bring that back in its origin in all aspects. And this is the way that we will have a collaborative healing amongst all of all of humanity. When Lou talks about God being in the center of all of this, we have to have this reminder. I've lived all over Africa. I lived in Kenya. I lived in Congo. I built the first 50,000 free houses in South Africa when apartheid fell. I've sat with Madiba. I've cried with our people, our nation. I covered the bombing of the Kenyan embassy, medicinal and legal, with Dr. Ramona Tasco for 5,000 Kenyans maimed after the bombing of the Kenyan embassy when America only posted about 14 dead Americans. So we've done the work. What I learned in Africa, what I learned from Mandela, what I learned from all of the leaders that were in Africa and the indigenous leaders that I work with on reservation land, which is also part of my blood lineage, is that we have to recognize as well that we are in an incarnation of a schoolhouse. Everything that has ever happened or occurred has been a lesson. It is building it's giving us strength, it's giving us courage, it's giving us wisdom, ascension, and the evolution of our souls and spirits. Nelson Mandela was in incarceration of his physical body for all of those years, confined and beaten in this tiny Robbins Island room. And yet he ascended in spirit and soul, because you cannot incarcerate the soul and spirit of anyone in humanity. The Jewish nation knows this well. You know, they went through the Holocaust and came back and created Hollywood, a place where they could speak and move forward in a small percentage presence. So we have to recognize that you cannot incarcerate us, but we are able to take back the reins of our culture, of our wisdom, of our integrity, of our hope, who we are as a strong global nation of people, that we are regal and royal, no matter what is being done in Florida, Mississippi, Alabama, or the streets of England. You cannot steal that from us. We went through prison and Jim Crow, but we still became president. We weren't allowed to go into country clubs, but we're still the greatest tennis players of all time. We weren't allowed in the pool, and we're becoming the greatest swimmers. We became the greatest golfers. We're the greatest scientists. You know, so much. You can't steal what God has poured into us. You can't steal what God has poured into any people. But if we bring together our wisdom, our strength, our faith, our community, our culture, our awareness, our perfection in a oneness, then you can't stop humanity from evolving, from saving all aspects of this community, of this earth mother, of our souls and spirits, so that we can take this schoolhouse and matriculate into the place where we are supposed to be as a global oneness.
Wow.
Thank you, my baby.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Boom. Boom. Thank you, Piper. Thank you. Whew. We are going to see a video from Piper that's beautiful in a few minutes, but I want to give Pato and Antoinette a chance to show their video first, and then we'll come back to Piper and her video. And we've got some questions coming in. And just a reminder, everybody, that we still have some time left. So if any of you have any thoughts, comments, or questions that you want to share, please do come on into our Zoom room. And for all of you who are watching us on YouTube or on Facebook, come join the Global Peace Tribe. It's easy to do that. Just go to globalpeacetribe.com, globalpeacetribe.com. You can learn all about our shows. You can get a free, wonderful book by Deborah Giusti on activating your soul tribe. And just click register for the new season. Go to globalpeacetribe.com, click register for the new season. We just launched it last week. We do 3 or 4 shows every week. And this is, of course, the show we're doing tonight, all about celebrating Juneteenth. And then we're going to kick off World Unity Week on Saturday night. We've got an amazing all-star group of people joining us. And then on the Sacred Sunday show, we're going to be hearing from our Indigenous elders. So come join us. You will get the Zoom room links for all of our shows for the next 4 months just by registering at globalpeacetribe.com. And come on in now. If you register within a minute, you're going to get the links. You can come in and even share any of your thoughts, comments, or questions. And I'm going to turn it back over to Pato and Antoinette, because they've got actually a couple of videos we're going to see from them tonight. Which one do you want to
show them first?
Your choice.
Well, before you show, you pick, but I do want to, while you're picking the video and describing, I do want to tell Piper. So girl, you know how I'm so manifesting you right now. So, but some of these people know already, because Charlotte, who was out there, and Scott, exactly what you just said. You said everything exactly what I've been saying. So I watched that Rhythmia thing. I was like, what's going on over here? And Scott is the one that helped me start my GoFundMe when I got diagnosed with breast cancer a couple of years ago. And then when I couldn't raise all the funds to do what needed to be done, I had to try to find out. And I've been on this journey for a couple of years. And then what I realized was like, oh my gosh, it's so, and we actually had our first event last week because a couple of my other girlfriends, I said, there's no way that we could raise all this money to do all the things that we need to be able to do for all of us. And we started to do what we started to do, which is Essential Wellness, is like bringing it back and putting it back to the people.
That's
You know, if this is our
right.
wisdom and knowledge, it's like, I need to learn back my own wisdom and knowledge and learn and share it back with my own people again.
Absolutely.
And making it accessible and affordable and making it available.
Absolutely.
And so, girl, I'm telling you, we got 31 acres over here of land, you know, to do our wellness retreat and spiritual center. Exactly what you've been talking about. That is what we are doing. So please get at us, link with us. That is what we're doing. And we're doing it at the Juneteenth, and we're doing it at the Juneteenth, and we're doing another event. It's like we're making these wellness events making it for all of our people and for other people who can't. It's like we have to do something. This has got to change.
Absolutely.
Got to change.
Absolutely.
All right. I'm going to play Black Lives Matter 2.
Yeah.
Oh,
All right.
yes.
And the reason why I called it Black Lives Matter 2 is because it had the power to stop arguments before they even got started.
Oh, but remember when you did All Lives Matter, it's the same video.
It's the same. This video's got two titles.
But
Lives
everybody went to
Matter
go
and
see the All Lives
Matter.
Matter.
So anyway, shall I share the screen?
Absolutely. Go for it, Pato.
All right. Here we-
Optimize sound, optimize sound.
All right. Share sound, optimize for video clip. And here we go. Can everyone see that?
Yes.
Yes, we can. Yes, we
All
can.
right. Here you go. I hope you guys enjoy it.
That is such a powerful video. Every time I see it, it blows me away. And Mr. Gossett, I know it's the first time probably you've met Pato and some of the people here and seen the video. Is there anything you'd like to share?
It's a tough one, you know. I'm sitting here with all these emotions from all these beautiful people that I've listened to and seen tonight. And I've come to the conclusion, because all of that seems to have happened to me and my family and right around me all my life. And I get a message that God created the devil and hell for us to overcome, to get closer to him. Whatever it takes for us to overcome all of this, to get close to him and to be in the palm of his hands, the better we are to freedom. It's a tough one, because I feel when I see that video, it brings out in the pit of my stomach an anger, an exasperation. I can't use it for my freedom. And I can't use that freedom for the children who watch me. That's my challenge. So when Shaw sees me, in spite of the beautiful story, the stuff that's happened, in spite of that, God put this for me to overcome and to be in the palm of his hands. Once we get there, nothing can ever stop us.
Lou, you just said a word. When I was living in Johannesburg, when we moved to South Africa, when my father authored the Comprehensive Sanctions Act in Congress that ended apartheid.
It doesn't matter what has happened.
It took all of that time, but when we moved to South Africa from LA, we rented a home that basically came with slaves. You know, showing us the washer and dryer and the swimming pool, and then they open up this hollowed room and they show us a family of women.
You know where Mandela stayed when he got out of prison?
Tell me.
The home of this jailer.
Yes. No, but from what you just said, okay. I just have to tell you this. These three women, you know, no shoes, they had never seen a television, never shopped in a store, never ate with utensils, all of this, who obviously we moved them into our home, found their children and their husbands off of the gold and diamond mines, taught them not only to read and write, but left them a $20 million business, turned it over to them, plus all of the properties without taking a dime at the end of it. But while we were in the midst of it, I was in a rage. So I understand what you're saying, Lou. Something kept rising up in me because we'd be driving down the street and there'd be giant billboards on the freeway.
Oh, the enemy is there, he's big, but God created him.
A red bloody rope that said, what a snap decision helped to end Black crime. We would drive all the way to Swaziland and return and see dead Black bodies on the side of the road, because if they're killed or if they're car accidents, they're not allowed to go to the hospitals or be put in ambulances. Apartheid was a heavy, harsh thing to live through. However, I had that same rage, Lou, that you're speaking about. And one of the women who had been literally a house slave, raped 3,000 times in her lifetime, and she was probably 28 years old.
Tough.
She said to me, stop with this anger. And I was like, what? And she said, you have the heart of the slave owner. This is not the heart of the African people. I had everything. I was living in a mansion in Malibu and had a mansion in South Africa, and a woman with nothing who had been slaved and born in apartheid said to me, your anger reflects the slave owner. It does not reflect who we are as a people.
Absolutely. God created the slave owner.
Right.
For us to overcome.
It was Mother Teresa that was invited to an anti-Vietnam rally. And she said, I will not go. If you invite me to a peace rally, I will be there, because we live in a world of energetic frequency. There's nothing here except for kinetic energy and quantum light particles. You know, this is all negative, positive. We only live in a field of energy. Whatever we project has to rise to a high frequency or vibration, or what Lou is saying is correct. it serves no one.
No
And it
purpose.
helps to mobilize and build on
I had to say that to
that
some of the
we're
most
trying
brilliant
to stop. It's
sisters.
got to be a love frequency.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, wow. You know that you just said my trigger word.
Frequency of love, girl.
Frequency of love. And you know, as
Yes,
I'm
ma'am.
listening to everyone, it's reminding me of a book I wrote really almost 25 years ago that I almost had forgotten about until my husband started telling me that this work, this wellness, this mindfulness work that sort of popped up that we've been doing forever, right, guys? I wrote this book called Reversing the Symptomatology of Post-Slavery Trauma.
Yes, ma'am.
And so we're saying that it's time to reverse that. If we continue to go down the spiral downward, that is where we will go.
We
So
are
we have
expected
to
to reverse
begin.
it to be in the palm of God's hand.
Yes,
We're
yes.
expected to reverse the ill effects of the devil that he
And
created.
and we can do it with our
Really be the
superpower. And
palm
we
of
know now. I've always wondered what the other 90% of the brain was doing when they keep telling us only 10% of it we actually use. So somewhere in there, and you know what? Oh, I'm trying to think of this movie, and Uncle Lou, I think you were involved in this. The
Maybe
man
book
that
of
fell
Negro.
to earth, the black man
Oh,
that fell.
With David Bowie?
David Bowie. I know I wasn't in it, but I know
That
what
was
you're
a
talking
No,
about.
no,
But you know what I'm
It's
talking
the
about.
man that
I
fell
know
to
what you're talking
earth.
about.
The
He was an alien. that
Yes.
came as a black man.
Yes.
Yes.
And he told us, and this is when I knew, all right, Mama Ivy Shadia, you need to keep on listening and connecting with the divine to find this information, because what freed everybody was jazz.
Yes, baby. Oh, what, you find your way. I'm looking at these beautiful faces here in front of me. You found your way.
Yeah.
Our children need to follow y'all. To
Ah,
see through the devil.
I see
Through
Paco
the
has his
evil.
hand up.
Yes, sir.
Paco is being very polite. So I'm appreciating the
raised
one
his
who's
hand.
raising his
Pato,
hand.
Pato.
You know,
I'm raising
so
my hand
I want to
after
give
him.
Pat,
Go
I
ahead.
want to give Pato the floor for a minute.
Yes.
I just want to share something with my brother Lou, which I'm sure he already knows. And I want to just share that God did not create a devil. That God only created angels. But for angels to exist with free will, they have the ability to choose not
which
to
side?
be an angel. And when an angel chooses not to be in harmony with God's law, they become a devil or a demon. But God didn't create a devil. For righteousness to exist, sin must have the potential to exist. For darkness to exist, light must exist. So, but the benefits of having a devil means that all of God's children get the opportunity
Have
to
a
be
choice.
tried and tested.
Mhm.
Now, it's-
Because
yes, yes.
if there wasn't badness in the world, we would just be living and not understand the responsibility we have to make good choices. So even though we don't love the devil, there is a benefit from him making the choices he made that allows us to make better choices than he made.
I beg to differ, my brother. We'll sit down with a hug. I
All
think
right.
God made the devil too.
All right.
Scott, can you bring me back on?
I love it.
Absolutely.
Bring us
I
all
can't wait
back
to
on
shake your
here.
hand and get a hug, sir.
Hey, can you bring Piper and Ivy back too?
Of course.
Hey, but-
Don't
Even-
separate us no more. Keep us right here in this room, right
Oh,
here.
okay. Everybody,
Right
we're
here.
gonna bring
Lucifer was an angel. Lucifer was an angel.
All right. So anyway, back to what Piper and what you call it was saying. So we were the next video I would like for Pato to show is the Ubuntu one, but the Ubuntu now. So since you guys are new to us as well, they always call Pato Mr. Positivity. And one of the things that I've learned a long time ago, I guess it was from what was James Baldwin. To be a black man in America is to be in a constant state of rage. And it was so amazing because this was the kind of thing that like when I look at my husband, because he's always been Mr. Positivity and Mr. Smiley Face all the time. So for him to even do a video like that took a lot took a lot. But one of the things that I realized when we were in South Africa, and this was so fantastic, because as I was sitting there, I was like, hold up a second. I said, Black America, we are waking up. You know, it's like we finally got our Juneteenth. We started like, that took a lot of work. It was just so much was happening in America. And then by the time I got over there, I said, and I was watching what was happening as far as like the after effects of apartheid in Africa. And I was like, wait a second. I'm like, we're not tolerating that in America anymore. There's certain things that we're just not tolerating anymore. And this is coming from a place of love, because I never go, we always take the high road. Doesn't matter how low they go, we will always take the high road. But there's one thing that we're not going to tolerate is the lack of disrespect or whatever that they're doing over there. So I said, Black Americans are not tolerating this over here in America anymore. And I don't expect them to be tolerating it in South Africa anymore. Because what I've noticed is that since Mandela was gone and Tutu was gone, and they needed that truth and reconciliation, or else that place would have blown up. The place is like a powder keg because it needs that insertion of love. You know, it's on a powder keg because they did not address the truth. And that was the hardest thing to sit there and see, was like, wait a minute, these people did not know because they hid the truth from the younger generation. You know, it's like we remember apartheid because Pata was singing about it, all those different things. It's like, but now they don't know anything about it, nothing about it. And then so the desperation, because the desperation is so hard, they don't understand where the money went, why there's no money, why these situations, because all these things are not being told to them, isn't not being shown to them, isn't being shared with them. The violence has escalated because of the truth wasn't there. And the leaders aren't there to sit there and bring back the truth of the love again. But that's why I say again, in order for us to get to the beauty and goodness, in order for us to hold hands and get to the kumbaya, we have got to tell the truth. And as much as it's hard for us to sit there and watch, because it's like they brought my sickness on. It's like this, it's in our DNA, and us having to face this brings on our sickness. It makes us ill, but we have to do it if we are going to save our brothers and sisters, that we need people to sit there and talk about the truth, share the truth, get through the truth, and bring love to sit there and get us out, so that way we can come out of this. Because what we're seeing right now is, if we continue in that direction, how their reparations is tied up in our reparations right now here today. If we don't sit there and acknowledge the truth, we're never going to sit there and get to that point of equity and diversity and that inclusion of all oneness, because no one ever wants to talk about the truth. But we've got to get there.
I know exactly. I need to be in the middle of all of y'all with a hug.
Yeah, that's absolutely.
It looks like you are. You're right in the middle from my view. You're right in the middle.
We'll go in the same direction. I need you.
We need you.
We need you.
Yes,
we need you. I went to your website and I saw, that Atlanta
It hasn't begun yet.
And no, but it has, because this is what we need in every single city. We all need a Juneteenth website like that. I need a whole list of people besides me and my man DJ and me and Pato. It's like we need a whole list of people doing Juneteenth in every single city all across this planet.
And what Juneteenth really means. Yeah. It's
really
time. It's time. It's time.
I think there's another really beautiful aspect that I'm sorry that I'm always taking it into the ethers. I'm always on the spiritual path. I think there's another way to look at all that has gone on in our history. I know that you're going back and forth into scripture, but it also says a day unto the Lord is of 1,000 years. And according to the Jewish calendar, we are only in the middle of the 5th year. God didn't create man until the 6th year, and we're not even in the 6,000th day. So keep in mind too, that we are spirits having a physical incarnation on this planet. Every single thing, if you truly trust God, every single thing that has ever occurred in our history, to every human being, every culture, even to the Earth Mother herself, is something that is leading us to expand ourselves spiritually, This is about wisdom. This is a university. If you think of this as being the only existence as eternal beings, then yes, then we will stay in the injustice rage of a political system. A political system is like the wind. This is not eternity, and this is certainly not. We are spirits. We are souls. On this planet, there are kindergarten spirits, preschool spirits, high school spirits, and there is a spiritual integrity where some people have doctorates in spiritual expansion and engagement. Also bear witness to trying to recognize, perhaps as a people, who came into a certain incarnation, that perhaps there is a spiritual wisdom that we're here to teach. There are other ways to look at this. I found in my practice as a therapist, as a drama therapist, I found a way to encourage my clients to find gratitude in every experience, where we would sit. I would have women saying, thank you. I'm so grateful that I was raped. Had I not been raped, I wouldn't have known how strong I was. I wouldn't have understood that I had the capacity to love other women through and through. There is also a bearing witness to the beauty that God has given all of us in the trials and fires of our lives. It takes fire to make gold pure. It takes pressure to make a diamond multifaceted. So I am grateful also for the historical experience of my African heritage and my Native American heritage, because I love who I am. I love the expansion of my heart. I love that I have this new compassion, this new strength. I cannot rely on a society to say that's how I became who I am. I did it on my own as a woman of color, raising Jewish children. My ex-husband is a second-generation Holocaust survivor. I can sit and listen to the stories of all of our grandparents, and all of them bled out. Everyone has had a fire season, but there is something about the unification and expansion of the human soul and spirit that says we will persevere, we will rise above, and we're here to teach. We're here to teach those who do not have the spiritual awareness to understand love. Every human being on this planet can sit and talk about their story of pain and suffering, because pain and suffering is part of the human construct. But as a soul and a spirit, we are unified. I don't know one race, one humanity, one party on this planet, including animals and trees, that haven't suffered, that haven't bled out, that haven't died, that haven't been annihilated by anger, hatred, and oppression. This is part of the human condition. But the reason that we can come together on a global network like this one is because love is the unifying thing that will always intertwine our hearts. Always. There will always be the base of Babel saying, forget all of the other languages. At the base of Babel, love is the only language that we will learn to speak as a unified body of humanity. Every human being on the planet has their Juneteenth, their genocide. They all have it, even if it's a genocide of the heart and spirit. Even if you're the colonizer, there is something that is breaking you down on a soul level, knowing that you have ancestors that have done some of these horrific things. We are a body of humanity that has to rise above the rage to recognize that we are in a spiritual school. You are here for a minute, and in this minute, use it for your divine purpose, because that divine purpose is why you are here. Your soul called upon this journey for a reason. To utilize this reason to lift up all of humanity and take us to that place of God ascension, that evolutionary soul place that we are called to go to.
Thank you, Piper. And let's take a breath. Let's take a breath. That was amazing. And I want to honor each and every one of you. Even when there's a different approach, each of you is such a beautiful emanation of the one eternal beloved. And I respect each of your approaches to our understanding, to learning the lessons of love that we are learning on this planet. I appreciate each and every one of your creative expressions. And I'd like to take a moment for us to take a look at a couple of those videos. I want to see, I'm so proud of the work that Antoinette and Pato are doing to help us understand the spirit of Ubuntu. So I want to show that video. And then I'd love to play Piper's video about being a dreamer. So that's a lot to integrate, and let's go ahead and integrate that. So here is Ubuntu Now by Pato and Antoinette.
In Africa, there is something known as Ubuntu. I am because we are. We come together today to renew the ties that make us one. Beyond tribe, beyond community, beyond nation, even beyond the continent.
Naam, ni wakati wa moyo wa utu, ubuntu, kugusa watu wote wa dunia. Kwa sababu tu watoto wa Mungu mmoja, jamii moja. Amina.
When you realize your family is all of humanity, that's Ubuntu. Ubuntu. When you want more peace and unity in your community, that's Ubuntu. Ubuntu. When the love and respect I have for you is the same you have for me, that's Ubuntu. All the people near and far, I am because we are, and that's Ubuntu. Ubuntu. When we tell them, hey, the spirit of Ubuntu. It's just a way of life, you know. Hey, the spirit of Ubuntu. Yeah, man. You see, this life is like a school. We gotta learn to live the golden rule, treating our brothers and our sisters how we want to be treated too. Ooh, when I say namaste, the God in me sees the God in you. Jesus said we are all your children and told us to go and spread the good news right now. Ubuntu is incredible, exceptional and ethical, mystical and spiritual, theoretical and practical. In times like this so critical, we need a higher principle to make compassion mutual, make respect reciprocal. When this becomes intentional and war is unacceptable, our blessings will be plentiful, life will be so wonderful. All for one and one for all people. Can you hear the call? It's time to tell the world about Ubuntu. When you realize your family, it's all of humanity, that's Ubuntu. Ubuntu. When you want more peace and unity, hey, in your community, that's Ubuntu. Ubuntu. When the love and respect I have for you is the same you have for me, that's Ubuntu. Tell all the people near and far, I am because we are, and that's Ubuntu. Ubuntu. We sing again. Hey, the spirit of Ubuntu. Yeah, man. Hey, the spirit of Ubuntu. Go on.
Naam, ni wakati wa moyo wa utu, Ubuntu, kuwaguza watu wote wa dunia. Kwa sababu sote tu watoto wa Mungu mmoja, jamii moja. Amen.
It is such an incredibly important project. And Pato and Antoinette, it's been so fun watching your evolution with the spirit of Ubuntu. I remember you first talking about, we've got this idea, and just every step along the way, it's beautiful to watch how it's all evolving.
Thank you. And we've joined with Stand Up for Justice has partnered with with the other or the organizations with the Hall of Movement to go forward with the peace game. So we're going to be starting our stuff up in Africa when we leave this Saturday, because it's Saturday when we actually fly out for Burundi for 1 week. and then we'll be 2 weeks in Kenya.
Wow. I also, we've got this wonderful co-host named Trish who hasn't had a chance to speak yet.
Hey, Trish.
So Trish, yes, the spotlight's on you, my dear. And I know that you've put a lot of time and energy into studying about racism, taking, I think, Bridget's course 2 or 3 times now. What are your thoughts in watching this powerful show tonight?
Well, I think that everyone's opinion is valid and everyone's feelings are valid here. I'm going to share a little personal experience. I got to teach at a festival this weekend that's incredibly, they're committed to changing the conversation in our country. So especially, it's mostly like white-bodied people. And they have this thing called the Brave Belonging Block, where during a BIPOC pool party, like it's specifically created pool party for people to be themselves and to be safe. And during that time, they have a Brave Belonging Block where it's all of us white-bodied people get to learn about our privileges and learn about how to deconstruct our own oppression and to be safer for ourselves and for everybody else. And it was an incredibly powerful weekend. And I love to learn and to listen to all of your hearts and to gain more information on how I can be just more loving. So thank you for showing up.
While the spotlight is on you, Trish, I also want to remind everybody about the Self-Love Show. All of us should be watching every Thursday morning at 10 o'clock. And tomorrow, your special guests are 2 of my favorite people, our global peace tribers, Connie and Andrew. So tell us about the show tomorrow.
Well, I'm going to let them tell you about it.
Well, hi, everybody. We're so blessed to be here with all our friends and Pato and Jeanette,
all the beloveds,
and to hear all these perspectives in this time of cleansing, this time of healing. It's so beautiful, Scott, that you've created a forum for people to come and be heard. That's what everyone needs, is to be heard and to be honored as a way up and out of what has been. And our Dance of Souls course that we're going to be talking with Trish about tomorrow is this journey to self-love, is this journey from victim to beloved, to know just what was the no yeah Piper what Piper was just speaking of, that radical understanding that goes beyond duality, beyond right and wrong and good and evil and victim and perpetrator. It's the hugest leap into our hearts and into that knowing of the beauty and the love of the divine, that it is all things. And it's our lack of understanding of the nature of that love that has us see it as not love. And Piper just addressed it so beautifully, that we say it's about free will, that we made a free will choice to come on the planet for what we've experienced. And Piper pointed to that people have come to understand that those experiences that we call not love have led to who they are today. And so many people have been able to get to that place. It's just a huge, huge place to get to. And that's what we address with our Dance of Souls course. And we'll be talking with Trish about tomorrow, bringing in aspects of our construct on the nature of the universe, which has to do with it's all love. Absolutely all love.
Excited about that. So see all of that at 10:10 standard time. Well, Facebook, or maybe on YouTube, or well, not on the other like podcast platforms, but that'll be next week. So I'm so excited to see you both tomorrow. You're
Yeah,
just
thanks for having
Looking
us.
forward to it. Yeah.
Beautiful. All right, that's tomorrow at 10 o'clock in the morning, Pacific time. So let's all definitely make sure we come and really make the self-love show something that's regular part of your diet, just like all of you come to this show on Wednesday nights, Saturday nights, and Sunday mornings. Self-love show is such a beautiful show. All right, Piper Dellums, you have a video. Please introduce it, and then I'm going to play it.
Wonderful. Well, it's actually, there are 4 videos and he's going to show one of them. And thank you so much. I really wish I could go both to the Juneteenth festival and to the dance class. I'm thinking, gosh, I want to do all of this. So the Dreamer Hotels, my partner, Lori Davis and David Fahm and I have created. We will launch our first big hotel is in England. The other big one's in Scotland. We're looking to buy another location in Africa, in Peru, in Mendocino, and then we'll circulate. We call ourselves the Dreamers. We're the Healing Hotels by Dreamer. This is just one little video asking, are you a dreamer? So that people will understand what we mean by being a dreamer. So Scott is showing this one because I felt that everyone that comes on, everyone that's a member of this global tribe are dreamers. And I think that the conversation has been led to this place.
All right, here we go.
As our own. In other words, we are seeing them as our equal. We are gaining information about how to love them. That is the way of the dreamer. Now look again into that mirror. Close your eyes and look inside of your heart. What do you see? You are a dreamer. Because dreamers know that the greatest epidemic plaguing our society is a lack of human compassion, a lack of unity. Dreamers see that there has been a dissolution of love. Dreamers know that we are the mirror as well as the face in it. We are tasting the taste of eternity this very moment, and this one, and this one. We are pain and what cures pain. We are the answer, and we are the question. We are the sweet cold water and the jar that pours. We are the soul of the world. There is no life. There are no beautiful women or men longing, only this ancient love circling the holy black stone of nothing and everything, where the lover is the loved, the horizon and everything within it. Love is the ultimate quiet gift for all of humanity and all of creation. Understanding is the offering of our heart, turning toward the intention to hear what is spoken and unspoken in another soul. It is the gentle touch which is blown by the breeze of love. In the midst of these moments now, we are all in need of understanding, of compassion, of love. So let us celebrate the gift of our very breath, for there are many without it. Let us celebrate the gift of love as we are free to choose it. And we, the dreamers, to all of you, the dreamers, we send you love. We send you unity. We bless you with dream. This is an open and sacred invitation
For all of the beautiful people, the Healing Hotel by Dreamers is waiting for you. Come.
What an honor to be with all of you. Just so much incredible talent. I mean, Trish, each video I watch, whether it's hard to watch, whether it's beautiful to watch, so much artistry in what you have done, Piper and Antoinette, what you and Pato have created, Mama Ivy's beautiful music, and all of you have these beautiful voices. I mean, I could just listen to your voices. You could read the yellow pages and I would be enthralled. Yeah, really.
For people who may not know what the yellow pages are, you might want to explain.
Oh, is that kind of a baby boomer thing? Yeah, I guess people don't
We're
have.
diverse, you know, Black women are also, we're diverse. We're not a monolith. This is one of the things I really love when I met Ivy down in Sedona. It was like there's 5 of us, 6 of us, right? The most unique 6 diverse Black women, and still that wouldn't even cover the amounts of other Black women that are out there as well. You know, the personalities are so unique, but if there's one thing that we all have in common is the love for our people is so strong and it is so powerful. And it's like, you know, that's what I love about being about my sisters and stuff.
Beautiful. Well, I want to give people the chance to learn how to get more of each of you. So let's go to Pato and Antoinette first. Tell us what are the details where people can attend your upcoming Juneteenth event?
All right. So it's going to be at San Jacinto College here in Menifee, and it's going to be 11 to 6 a.m., 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. And I call this the regional Juneteenth because it's kind of like anywhere between Los Angeles and San Diego, even though they have like a big one out in Santa Monica. But I think, you know, for the Inland Empire, we're definitely going to be one of the largest between here and San Diego. And because this area, this is the other thing, this area is not, it's not like there's a lot of us out in these parts of the woods. You know, I mean, and it was funny because a few years ago, the same people who were throwing the Trump truck rallies were also some of our biggest supporters for the Juneteenth. It's like, we're going to have to sit there and work with what we're working with and just go to whatever local support and let everybody know that, you know, it's a holiday that's for everybody. This is not a Black holiday. This is an American holiday for everybody to celebrate the freedom of all people, you know, so that's what's awesome.
Beautiful. And you know, I just got a message from John and Summer. They put us out to 199 Facebook groups and pages today. That's an all-time record for this show. 199 groups and pages watching this show tonight. So that's pretty cool. Piper, I'm going to go to your website for a moment. What do you want people to know about you and your wonderful offerings? I love.
Oh, wow. Well, there'll be a second one, but if you go to www.isloveretreats.com.
Here we go.
Because I was told that everything is love. I believe that. If you go down to projects, I'm sorry, at the top. Yeah, right there. You can go down to the Healing Hotels by Dreamer. You can go through the whole projects and you'll see everything about our Dream Center, our ranch. You can look at all of the Dreamer videos. You can look at all of the Dreamer merchandise. We are also a nonprofit organization, so we fund environmental issues. We fund missing and exploited African American women and missing and exploited Native American women. We also fund a suicide prevention for LGBTQ teens, and we also fund battered women's initiatives and trafficked women. Those are the women that I work with the most. At the way bottom is the second video that you didn't get an opportunity to see. And then we will be able to post our new website to invite everyone out to any of our hotels all over the world. We will be having Dr. Ivy hopefully traveling the world with us. We're building a very specific all-encompassed dome that she suggested so that her sound baths and my film footage can be an engrossed sound healing for the nations. We will be building those in every one of the hotels and hopefully bringing her on our board. We haven't yet had an opportunity to ask, but we already have her listed on the board because we know that her sound frequencies are healing nations. So we appreciate you. We also have an entire Juneteenth clothing line, which we've had for years, which is called Beautifully Black. That is also on.
Drop the link there, girl. Come on, I want to see it.
Wait, he had it up, so Scott has to put.
All right.
Has to put the website back up. I'm so sorry, Scott.
Go back there. Absolutely.
I love that. The boutique hotels. So we got a link. I'm telling you, help me. We're doing a denture wellness event.
Our hotels aren't boutiques. We have Seton Castle in Scotland, which belonged to Mary Queen of Scots, 400 acres, 17-room castle. We have a huge, we own Stapleford Hotel in England, which is also like 257 rooms, massive, ancient, stunning. We are purchasing up ranches, retreats, vineyards on hundreds and hundreds of acres. We're going to get one here in California where 3 rivers converge to make sure that we always have pure water. We will have indigenous healers from every indigenous culture, from Africa to the Americas to Central America, guiding all of our healing practices. It's going to be extraordinary. So we are probably putting close to $1 billion into the entire project.
Look at us.
Wow.
Look at us. That's awesome. When the shaman, Scott, when you brought the shaman up to the land to do the blessing, I'm telling you, that was so amazing to see all that water on California. I said, look what we're going to do right here in Cali. We're sitting on top of mineral hot spring water, that we just need to dig and drill and stuff and start healing our people.
Yes, absolutely. That reminded me of one of my chiefs on one in one of the indigenous nations, as Dr. Ivy and Scott know, that from my mother's side of the family, we are Sac and Fox and Blackfoot. So one of our chiefs, Deborah Guerrera, was speaking to us after a major sweat lodge experience. And there was a young child on the reservation. There's severe poverty on reservations, by the way, addiction, generational trauma, very similar to African-American generational trauma. And it's deeply, 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 deeply devastating the indigenous nation. But there was, but they always go back to indigenous medicine and healing, that cultural awareness that we need to bring from Africa here to the States.
Well, yeah.
There was a child that got very, very sick there with like a scarlet fever. And the chief dug into the earth, into the minerals of the earth. They did a grandfather fire and they prayed and did dance around that child for 3 days. The hospitals couldn't heal that little girl, but they put her in the earth and covered her with the earth. 3 days later, she was 100% healed. So having perfect mineral earth, having purified water, fresh air, holistic eating, and recognizing that we're housing this ancient, beautiful, eternal soul, and that our vessel, our temple, is very important in connection to Pachamama Gaia, to our Earth Mother, in her purity, in order to heal us.
Amen.
I want to read a few of the comments that have come in from our audience, because we usually do that. But I also, just before I get to those comments, I also want to let people know where they can get more of Mama Ivy, Dr. Ivy, Shadia, she of many names, who makes many beautiful sounds. And it's drivysoundspa.com, drivysoundspa.com. And some of her music, put on the headphones and let her take you away. We did a show with her. I guess it was with her and Piper, in fact. It was a Sacred Sunday show. And are still talking about that show and the
Wow.
amazing musical offerings. So everybody go get the Sonic Mind Streaming, the brainwave mental fitness training that you can get from Dr. Ivy. Again, it's drivysoundspa.com. I do want to read a couple of comments from our audience, and then we are going to close. There's this wonderful man named Omushar who comes to every show and plays music.
Where is he?
Have some live music from Omushar to close us out, but just a couple comments. Eleanor Joy writes, "These dreamer hotels are so unique and refreshing. Way to go." Charlotte LaFranc, and we love Charlotte. She writes, "I co-facilitate a 3-day equity and anti-racism training for child protection and social service professionals. We just started a new session today. I'm going to show excerpts from tonight's show with our class. This was so meaningful and so important. Thank you, Charlotte, for doing that wonderful work." And Dorina Joy, who's coming to us from all the way from Ecuador, writes, "Thank you for this mind and heart-opening sharings and amazing creations, messages and videos tonight. And I have a question. What would you invite those unaware of the whole Ubuntu movement and the Juneteenth celebrations to think, to say, to do, not only on that day, but beyond, to honor and acknowledge that all lives matter and Black lives matter, animal lives matter too?" So I guess a final thought from each of you in answer to Dorina Joy's question. Pato?
Yeah. To what I think is the most important thing. And as you know, our main message is that love is the greatest thing in the world, that we're all God's children, brothers and sisters. And, I think that is the most important thing to share. I think that the lessons of the past are important, but the most important thing for us to always remember is that we're all one family, God's children, and we've got to learn how to overcome our differences and love each other.
Oh, thank you, Pato. Absolutely. And I guess I'll go to Antoinette next. Antoinette, what's your final thought for the night?
Well, I was gonna say, yeah, that, and also because I love how they mentioned Ubuntu, because we always sit there and talk about the golden rule is part of that as well. The golden rule is also the part of Ubuntu. It's also part of we're all God's children, brothers and sisters. That's become our motto, from the Urantia book. Devote your life to proving that love is the greatest thing in the world. So that's how our approach. That's how we want to just let everybody know. It's like we're all one. But the only way that we can all actually be one is if we actually all feel that we're all one. Because when we start to feel it, then we actually know that people mean it and they're not just, saying something, but we actually all feel it. So the golden rule is an excellent example, along with the spirit of Ubuntu, to sit there and let people know that we mean what we say, because it's in the actions. Nobody has to say anything. We're already taking care of each other. So thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you.
I would say about Ubuntu means humanity, and it's translated as I am because we are. And I think that the philosophy of Ubuntu speaks to the culmination of what we have spoken about. So what I would suggest to her is, how does she utilize Ubuntu in the daily life and teach it? Is you're teaching about the involvement and the oneness of humanity, that we can only be as happy and as loved and as fulfilled as our neighbor. This is the same as love thy neighbor as yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You can only love someone by the magnitude by which you love self. So when we see that people are not being loved in a society, it is really a mirror to the lack of love of those who aren't projecting that love. The most important thing then is to recognize that each individual is responsible for their own self journey and their own self-love. What we can do is we can project the spirit of Ubuntu in forgiveness, in ascension, in education, and in love, but also putting the responsibility on those who may persecute, dominate, oppress, that it is their responsibility to teach their families, their children, and their own communities how to love outside of self, so that Ubuntu can grow and we can become a garden of humanity as is meant.
Beautiful,
Amen.
Piper.
Mhm.
God bless you, Piper. And Dr. Mama Ivy. Oh, thank you so much
Well,
for being with
I,
us in your purpleness.
yes, it ended up that way. It wasn't a plan. It just
But
happens to
works.
be my favorite color.
Works.
But you know, the first thought that came to me, and it goes back to this whole concept about the frequency of love. When we talk about love, a lot of times we tend to think outside of ourselves. How can I give love to someone else? How can I share love with someone else? How can I be an expression of love? And I've come to the realization, I'm just now coming off of a 40-day juice cellular cleanse. And I'm telling you, just juicing every day for 40 days. It says something to you, but it said to me in my meditation, almost close to the very last day, is that this is the expression of the frequency of love that I am talking about to you, as I heard my God voice in my mind. So the love is about how can we pour that same level of love into ourselves, so that we would have the capacity to share and exude and vibrate love into the world. If it is not loving each and every cell of our own bodies, then what and how can we share it with someone else? So the frequency of love is about self-love, self-care, pouring that energy of healing onto each and every cellular structure of our bodies. They speak a language, they understand our soul. Let's communicate in that way. And then the love into the universe will absolutely empower the world.
Beautiful, beautiful. Each and every one of you is just so beautiful. And you talk about self-love, and there she is, the queen of self-love, the hostess of the Self-Love Show. Trish, what are your final thoughts for the night?
I love you. And I would prefer you call me queer of the self-love show. I'm not really into the queen part, but I'm like,
I'm the queer of the Self-Love Show.
you. But really, like, both you and Piper and Ivy, yes, self-love is when we can start to see the places that we were taught to not love ourselves, the places that society, and we can go back, has taught us to disintegrate the truth of our own love and desires. It really is, we can really change the world there by loving.
Need more of that self-love. That was something that was hard for me to learn about, having to learn about loving myself. This is something I feel like we got to teach our own people. It's like, how to love ourselves and everything, to come out from those things. It's a whole new world, for so many people.
Yes.
And there's an elevated way to love self. You love self, you'll love self with a much greater embrace and expression when you recognize that self is eternal, that you are who you are and you are who you will always be before you had a race and age and experience, a job. The love of self is loving yourself beyond the labels, beyond who we are, beyond the body politic, and beyond this incarnation. It's to love the eternal being of being a perfect imprint and expression of God in the earth. Once we recognize that, no one can erase that love. No one and nothing.
It's so true. And it's the interesting about this too, is because as many times as I've heard this, quite a few times these last few months, it's still new. And if it takes me this long to learn it, as intelligent as I am, as long as I've been on this planet, and as much as I can understand things, it still takes that much. And that's what makes me understand. It's like, even with my other brothers and sisters, we have to go so much to sit there and get them because that was one of the things when we were with Pato in Florida, when we had all the youth on the stage. And when this one little Black kid came up there, and when we brought him up there, I was like, I put him up in the front, and you could see the way his movement was. And when we put him up front, and then everybody just cheered, how much that means for him to be able to get that kind of self-esteem if he didn't actually have that, you know. So undoing and relearning is such a long process, but it's a challenge. But at least we know it's like it is happening, and it is beautiful, and it is good. But we still have much work to do. But it's exciting times.
And teaching young children like that how to love themselves without the applause. Is the beauty of the strength of who we are.
Exactly.
Again, it's like back to Nelson Mandela. It's back to my in-laws who were in Auschwitz. It goes back to the fact that you have to go deep. Applause is not the thing that's going to define self-love. That's going to give you a boost in the moment. Self-love has to come from a real deep knowing that you are always in perfection, that you are an imprint of God, no matter what you're experiencing. We have to get to that place where whatever's going on in the outside world cannot affect that love.
My definition of love is the radical acceptance of what is, as is. And it's, can I love just as? I mean, there's actions of being in love with others and to choose the actionable steps of love, but my definition of love is the radical acceptance of what is. And one of the studies that I've chosen on this time in the planet is to look at how structures have created us to disown parts of ourselves and how we can look at those things. I can trace a lot of insecurities based on social norm behavior. I've been looking at it for a while, and it's really fascinating. I would love to have a whole conversation about this later at another time. Yes, for self-love. Woo!
Girl, remember, we still got to do the show on white Jesus. Remember that one?
I super want to do that one.
All right. Well, he's not quite white Jesus. But we are going to go to my favorite white man who has not spoken today, and that is Omashar.
Scott, beloved friends on this show, there are no words that can complete what is already complete. I feel so educated and so full of the different perspectives that came into tonight. And it was wonderful to meet with Lou, and it was wonderful to feel your hearts espousing your perspectives from the center of the source of your own being. How awesome. And I had to laugh when I saw Pato and Antoinette, when I saw you sitting on the Jeep in Adentia, thinking that that was the Jeep that got drowned by the river, which appeared. And it looked great at that moment, but I thought, hang on a minute, that's Adentia. Hang on a minute, that's that Jeep that got rather rusty. So this is one of the reasons that we're all here. And I'm going to sing this song called The Wonderful and the New. And let's just come more into our center, out of our heads, just deep breath. So grateful. Thank you all so, so much. And thank you, Mama Ivy. Your bowls are awesome. Your purple is awesome.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You'll never walk this way again. Lay down all your guards. Your loving hearts will lead the way. The door is open. The wonderful and the new is waiting patiently. Take the step and you will see all you've been dreaming You'll never be alone again. Please take my hand in yours. I love you just the way you are. You're my creation. The wonderful and the new is waiting patiently. Take the step and you will see all you've been dreaming. And now is the time you've been waiting for so long. I've been holding you through all ages, knowing I'd be with you once again. Dum bum ba dum ba da da da. Dum da 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 da. Dum ba dum ba da da da. Dum da 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 da. You'll never walk this way again. Lay down all your guards. Your loving hearts will lead the way. The door is open. 'Cause now is the time you've been waiting for so long. I've been holding you through all ages, knowing I'd be with you once again. Bum bum ba da 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 da. Take the step and you will see all you've been dreaming. Now is the time we've been waiting for so long. I've been holding you through all ages, knowing I'd be with you once again.
Bashar, even on a show where there's been so much wisdom, your music is a highlight of a great night. Truly a highlight of a great night. Thank you so much, my brother.
I feel so blessed to be amongst us all of us. I feel in my heart, so thank you.
Absolutely. And I just always like to complete by letting people know what we've got coming up on Saturday night. It's the kickoff of World Unity Week. And we're really excited about that. Kristen Hoffman will be back playing another song. Of course, Omoshar will be here, and Gary Malkin will be with us, Chief Phil Lane, Becky Suzik, and many, many others. So join us definitely on Saturday night. And then on Sunday, we are going to be taking a dive with our Indigenous elders and beloveds, Chief Phil Lane again, and some of his Indigenous friends are going to be with us. And also Abigail Spinner McBride, you know, every quarter she helps us understand the solstice. And so we have another solstice about to begin, and she's going to help us kind of prepare for that. So please join us this weekend. And you know, this show is such an important show. Please take the recording and send it, share it with your friends. You'll be able to find it on our Facebook pages. We went out over 199 pages today. So almost anywhere on Facebook, go to my Facebook profile. You can grab it right from there. And of course, we send it out on Monday along with a YouTube link. I'll make a YouTube link tomorrow. I'll post it on Facebook and we'll send it out to all of our subscribers. So let's really get this show out to our friends and family. Let's help educate people and inspire people about Juneteenth and all the wisdom that has been shared. Thank you, Trish, for being my wonderful co-host for 3 years now. Thank you, Omashar, for always being here every show. Dr. Mama Ivy, every time you're on this show, you bring so much grace and love to the show. Thank you.
Thank
Piper
you.
Dellums, what a dynamic being you are. Oh, my Lord. And Antoinette, my other wonderful co-host, give a big hug to your husband. I love you so much, Antoinette. Happy Juneteenth, everybody. And we'll look forward to hopefully seeing you this weekend. Take care, everybody. I'm going to go to gallery view. We can wave goodbye and see you all this
Ivy,
weekend.
send me that link, girl. I'm
All
waiting on
right.
you, girl.
It's so good to see you.
I'm texting you.
And we will talk about bringing you about all of it.
Please,
Yes,
Piper,
indeed.
please, girl. You don't understand. My girls, that's why we had to do the wellness and everything. And Charlotte had to help me. They did a hysterectomy on my girl unnecessarily. It's like we need to save our girls. It's like they need some education. I'm like, I'm all ready. I'm ready.
Women of the world. We have to save, and we have to save this Mother Earth.
We got to save Mother Earth.
Absolutely.
Heal the mother, heal ourselves.
Again.